You're listening to Al Pastor, the show that helps you love God, love your neighbor, and eat more tacos. I'm your host, Pastor Brian. Welcome to the show. Well, hello. I want to welcome you back to our journey through the Gospel of Matthew. Today, we're going to go over the opening verses of chapter 26. Very short, verses 1 through 5, but I think it'll be a blessing to you. Let's hear the word of the Lord. The Bible says, "Now it came to pass, when Jesus had finished all these sayings, that he said to his disciples, 'You know that after 2 days is the Passover, and the Son of Man will be delivered up to be crucified.' Then the chief priests, the scribes, and the elders of the people assembled at the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and plotted to take Jesus by trickery and kill him. But they said, 'Not during the feast, lest there be an uproar among the people.'" Here we are approaching the summit of Jesus' earthly ministry. The cross is only a couple of days away, and knowing this, Jesus is stepping steadfastly towards the cross. As we immerse ourselves in these scriptures, I pray that we would reflect deeply on the weight of what unfolds. Jesus is fully aware of his destiny. He shares with his disciples a weighty and serious reminder. The appointed time of his suffering and death was at hand. This wasn't unforeseen circumstances. Rather, it is a fulfillment of a divine appointment foretold repeatedly throughout his ministry. In verses 1 and 2, we encounter the profound symbolism of the Passover. We shouldn't pass over these verses too quickly. This Jewish feast commemorates the liberation of Israel from Egyptian bondage, where the death angel passed over the homes marked by the blood of the Lamb. And what Matthew is doing here is drawing us into the parallel of Jesus as the Passover lamb. His blood is about to be shed, not just for physical deliverance, but for spiritual salvation from sin, a deliverance that far surpasses what occurred in Egypt. But in the shadows of this impending sacrifice, a dark conspiracy brews among the religious leaders. This is detailed in verses 3 through 5. They gather in the cover of secrecy under the leadership of Caiaphas, the high priest, a man that is astute and adept at navigating the perverted political waters of Roman cooperation. Their plot to kill Jesus is driven by fear. Fear of people, fear of the Roman reprisal, fear of losing their power. What's their intention? It's to wait until the Passover begins to die down, until the crowds begin to leave, to avoid inciting a riot. Now, here's what blesses me. In the middle of these human plots and schemes, we see the overruling hand of God. The leaders' plans are just threads in the grand tapestry of divine providence. Even the unexpected offer from Judas to betray Jesus doesn't catch God by surprise. It lines up with the heavenly timeline already set in place. And so, as we meditate and digest these verses, let's not miss the contrast between human plotting and divine purpose. The religious leaders plan in secret, but God's plan is unfolding in plain sight, a plan of redemption through the ultimate sacrifice of his son. These verses penned by Matthew invite us to trust, not in human strength or wisdom, but in the perfect sovereign will of God, who uses even the darkest intentions for his own glory. Let this be a reminder to us. Let this be an encouragement to us. God's purposes are unstoppable. His plans are unthwartable. In every moment of fear or uncertainty, May we rest in the assurance that we are part of a story much greater than ourselves, a story penned by the hand of God, leading us not to despair, but to everlasting hope. So no matter what you're going through, no matter how dark it seems, know that God is in control. Jesus is King. I want to thank you for joining me today as we continue to walk through the final days of Jesus' ministry. My prayer is that we do so with hearts open to the profound lessons of faith, to the lessons of surrender and divine sovereignty. Until next time, may your faith be strengthened and your hope be anchored in the truth of God's unchanging word. Thank you for listening to Al Pastor with Brian Overturf. If you found value in this, please subscribe and get updates most places podcasts are available. We're right here on Anchor FM through Spotify, also on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. I hope you'll tune in for the next episode. Until then, we'll see you later.